Hey everybody, how's it going? Ventus Arashi here today with the next chapter in my journey through Sonic X Shadow Generations. Last time I ended up proceeding through Rail Canyon and fought the Bio Lizard. And now I'm going to be exploring the area even more. Now you might notice that my voice sounds a little different right off the bat. And the reason for that is because, and I don't know how this happened, for some reason when I recorded the episode the other day, even though I was completely unmuted, for some reason my microphone didn't pick up what I was saying at all. So me talking right now, it's still a voiceover. So I'm going to try my best to remember what I was saying and talking about the other day when I was recording, but it has been a couple days, I would say close to a week-ish since I last recorded, and I really don't remember what all I was talking about. So sad for me, the blind reactions won't be available for hearing, sadly, but it is what it is, can't be helped. So I think the place that I go to next is Sunset Heights, and as you can see, I'm just roaming about the world getting this stuff done. But at the same time, this also gives me an opportunity to talk about things that I had never really discussed beforehand, and that is well, actually, I really don't know. I'm just kind of making this up as I go. So yeah, technical issues nobody is safe from. This area is Sunset Heights. When I first stumbled upon this little, I guess you could say hub or entrance, I wasn't entirely sure. But it was that bridge-looking icon, or not icon, but that bridge structure at the very top of the stage entrance that gave it away. Because Sonic and Sonic Frontiers, but Forces fights Metal Sonic on that bridge. So that was the giveaway. Plus, Shadow had his own version of Sunset Heights called Enemy Territory in Forces in the episode Shadow Ark. Now, right off the bat, I missed that, but I gained that one instead. Yeah, I still haven't fully mastered this stage. After fully playing the game through, I've gone back and I've done more stages. Honestly, getting S ranks in Shadow Generations is harder than it was in Sonic Generations, and to be perfectly frank with you, I'm all for it. I mean, I like a challenge. I mean, that's one reason why whenever I've played other games, like for example Kingdom Hearts, it's always on the hardest possible difficulty. Yes, I will have a lot of fails, but I like the challenge. That's just me. Even though it stresses me the hell out, I still enjoy a good challenge, because if it's too easy, it's no fun. You know, I mean, that may seem counterproductive if I'm not having fun because of how frustrated I'm getting, but at the same time, maybe that's just because, one, I used to be an athlete, not professional, but collegiate, and two, you know, my family has always had this real competitive streak about them, especially my dad. Like, he was always competing with other people, and to be fair, he also had a good reason to do so as well. Like, I think he was second generation Japanese, and yeah, he was back in the 70s and 80s. He was always competing with people for, I guess, positions and titles and whatnot, etc. So he used to work construction, and when he would, he knew he could work harder and faster and smarter than anybody else there. I mean, he's openly expressed this to me, and it wasn't ego. I've seen him work. So he was backing up what he could. I saw him back up what he was saying. But the problem is back then, they only hired him to fill a quota, because the census was requiring them to hire a certain number of people of specific races, etc. So when he found out that he was only hired just because of the census, he got thoroughly pissed, and rightfully so. So yeah, he did not have very good experiences back then. You know, in case people don't know, I'm from Hawaii originally, and what am I saying originally? I am from, yeah, I was born and raised, and so is my pops. And Dad went to school in Washington at some point, and Washington, oddly enough, is where my mother is from. But surprisingly, they didn't meet there. They met back on the island. So yeah, a little backstory about me. I don't usually get this personal, but, you know, I guess it just, all this kind of stuff just reminded me of, you know, how he is. Because honestly, there was a saying that I saw a while back that said that oftentimes when people pass away, I guess the surviving family members can pick up on specific traits that they might have, and here's where I screwed up. Yeah, but I didn't really believe that, but I was actually quite surprised at how many of my dad's personality traits or tendencies I ended up inheriting after he passed. So I guess there is some merit to that statement. Like, sorry if I got again, apologies if I got a little too personal there, but I can be a pretty sentimental person, as you probably already can tell from the way this conversation is going. But yeah. But anyway, Sunset Heights honestly was one of my favorite stages in Sonic Forces. I mean, and here comes Black Doom again. But yeah, honestly, Sonic Forces got a lot of hate back in the day, and to be fair, a lot of it is justified, but it didn't get the same caliber, or deserve the same caliber of hate it was getting. I liked its music. Its music was decent for the most part. Still not on the same level as Mania, but I still feel that it was good for what it was. I mean, honestly, the storyline had a lot of potential, and it's just, I think one of the biggest complaints that the entire community had when it came to Forces was that how short the stages were. Like, they were over in just 2 minutes. So, Sunset Heights included. I mean, it was just a short bit just to find Shadow, and that was it. So, when that happened, somebody actually made mods to blatantly make Sunset Heights longer and do it justice, and they actually did quite well with it too. And yeah, so it was, you know, underwhelming to say the least. At least Forces was, but it, again, like I said, it had potential. It had a lot of potential, especially with that whole storyline of Dr. Eggman finally winning and taking over the world and putting Sonic in prison where he couldn't really do anything. So yeah, it was a good attempt by Sega, especially since prior to that we hadn't seen a mainstream Sonic game from them in quite some time. And unfortunately, it did not do too well. I mean, first they had a smash hit with Mania, and then they fumbled the ball with Forces. So yeah, they had a real hit and miss year in 2017. Or actually, I think this is when it was released, was 2017. Actually, I'm gonna go look that up right now. Yep, 2017. I was right. It's the same year that my pops ended up passing away. So I ended up having to use this to kind of distract myself. But anyway, that being said, stage is done. And 36 seconds to S rank. Not bad. Now the first half of Sunset Heights has been restored. That was my knee popping, in case you heard that. Yeah. Now that symbol is gaining more potency. And this is Act 2. Now, Act 2 was a very gimmicky act where it relied almost exclusively, or not exclusively, but not even primarily actually, it relied on the Doom Surf ability a lot. And to be perfectly honest with you, I really did not care for that too much. I mean, don't get me wrong, Doom Surf is still a fun ability, but it definitely wasn't my favorite. So yeah, these little things will launch you if you hit them with the Chaos Spear first. So the Doom Spear, or not the Doom Spear, but the Chaos Spear rather. Doom Surf is there. And unfortunately, this was one thing that I was a bit annoyed by in this stage. I mean, I know they're trying to provide some kind of challenge, but yeah, you have to avoid the Death Egg robot's blasts in order to make it through the stage properly, which is where Chaos Control comes into play. Buzz Bombers, and that move right there was something that I was glad he still had, because Shadow had that move in Forces, where if there was just a chain of Buzz Bombers in the area, he would just destroy them all down the line in one fell swoop, which was actually pretty nice. Now keep in mind, Shadow has never officially been to this spot yet, and for the timeline, because this takes place around the same time as Generations. So, or Sonic Generations, rather. So, he's in this spot, and he doesn't have any memories of being here because he hasn't been here yet, at least canonically anyway. So, yeah. Unfortunately for me, I didn't have enough Chaos energy, so I couldn't activate Chaos Control and stop the platform from being destroyed. Now, as I probably mentioned earlier, I really don't remember, you get Chaos energy from defeating enemies, while you get Ring energy, while the Ring energy gives you the boost. So this one you have to hit with multiple Chaos Spears, stun it, and then go to town on it with a Dual Blast.
Let's do this.
But I'm not gonna lie, I really do like the layout of the stage. This stage had some potential, not gonna lie. But yeah, its execution was a little meh, not gonna lie. Why do I keep saying not gonna lie? Maybe I need some coffee already. Yes, I know I'm a caffeine addict. I have been for ages now, so that's why you don't get hooked on this stuff. And unfortunately for me, I have this really freakish ability that I don't even know if I would even call it an ability, but for some reason, my body builds up a resistance to things ridiculously fast. Like, what's effective one day is not nearly as effective the next, which sucks, because it means I have to keep, you know, intaking more of the stuff just for it to have an effect. For reference, I'm a night owl and an insomniac, and I have been since I was a baby. My mother even tells me that I was active at night, even in the womb. Like, I would be kicking and squirming and while she was pregnant, and would never let her properly rest. And even as a baby, I would be up all night crying and whatnot, and my mom and my older brother told this to me, so I know they're not lying. So my reaction to her was, "You mean I've had it since birth?" Like, no wonder I'm so tired. 32 years of this crap, and like, I'm exhausted. See, most people get insomnia when they're, you know, in their teenage years or something, but it just, you know, it not when they're a kid, and even less so as an infant. So that was definitely an unwelcome shock for me. And 19 seconds to the next S rank. So yeah, that's part of the reason why I'm so exhausted and heavily reliant on caffeine. Oh, Black Arms, you did it now. Sheesh, he is upset, and rightfully so. Like, get your hands off my sister. Looks like he's seen a ghost. In a way, he kind of he doesn't know how to react. But to be fair, that's also understandable.
Where did you learn to fight like that?
He's not your shadow, Maria.
Must be from a point in time before the Ark disaster. Perhaps I can change their fate.
Shadow? You look grim. Are you all right?
I'll be fine. We'll all be fine. Find somewhere safe to hide. I'll take care of everything.
Yep. So yeah, that's why I'm so heavily reliant on caffeine. And unfortunately, I have to drink a ton of it in order for it to work.
Oh, Shadow.
I've deduced that we're in some kind of temporal anomaly. Therefore, I thought it better not to interact with too many elements to prevent a paradox from occurring. But you've been acting rather boldly, so perhaps I've been too cautious? I'll continue to study the anomaly. But if I find anything pertinent, I'll inform you right away.
Good.
Be careful.
Oh, Shadow.
Yeah, and he's just repeating dialogue right now. Shadow, when did you become so strong and confident?
Be careful, Shadow.
Please be careful out there. Those aliens are fearsome.
Shadow.
Oh, Shadow. You were just getting comfortable aboard the Ark when all of this happened. I hope all the staff are doing okay. They've all really warmed up to you. And the dialogue repeating. Yeah. But yeah. Honestly, like I said earlier, it just, my tolerance to stuff is ridiculously high. I don't know why. I just have been like that for a hot minute. And it's not something I care for because let's be real here. The coffee that I drink is called Death Wish, and it's noted for having one of the highest concentrations of caffeine out there in coffee today. I mean, for reference, the average healthy human can only safely withstand or handle about 400 milligrams of caffeine safely before they start having complications. And yeah, the stuff that I drink is way, way over that. Got ARK 82. I mean, it's about, I think, if I remember correctly, it's about 712 or 718 milligrams of caffeine in one 12-ounce cup. And that's when it's cold brewed. Now, cold brewed coffee tends to have more caffeine in it than the hot stuff. And the reason why is the caffeine molecule breaks down under heat. So, but water works best as a solvent when it's hot. So, there are benefits and downsides to it. The downside of hot coffee is that it doesn't have quite as much caffeine in it. The upside is that it hits your system faster. Cold brew, on the other hand, it doesn't hit your system as quick. It's more of a slow burn, but there is more in it, and it lasts longer. So there is give and take for that one. So yeah, unfortunately, the stuff that I drink, if somebody is not used to it, it can kill somebody. Like I read a report a while back that said that people died when drinking the Death Wish cold brew stuff because they weren't used to it. And I believe it because I have OD'd on caffeine before. Caffeine technically is a drug, and I didn't realize it. I was, working one day, and I drank a cold brew coffee in the morning, and then after I was done with work, you got Sonic Heroes Part 1, check it out in the collection room. And I was feeling tired, and I was going to do a workout later on that day. So I drank a pre-workout afterwards to kind of perk me up and get me going. Big mistake. Now, this stage is Kingdom Valley, Act 1. And honestly, this stage and the music that plays with it is one of my favorites in the entire game. It's just so well done. I mean, this is definitely a favorite of mine, big time, if not the favorite. I mean, and it's funny because I really didn't care for the Kingdom Valley section in Sonic 06 just because of it didn't sound quite as fast paced. But going through this with the not the Frontiers, but the Unleashed style of gameplay, where it's just the boost method and whatnot, it's a lot better. So I think I may have to re-download the soundtrack and just give the original Kingdom Valley track a good listen. And I messed up there somehow. But at least I was able to land on solid ground. Anyway, so back to the caffeine thing. Yeah, I mean, so what happened was with me, after I drank that pre-workout, I was doing fine for like the first 10 minutes, and then my heart rate just spiked. Breathing got more difficult, and I realized what was happening. Luckily for me, I remembered that oxygen is heavy and sinks to the ground, so I laid down on the floor, forced myself to control my breathing for 30 minutes, and then I felt better. But yeah, it was still not a pleasant experience. But the weird thing was, later on, maybe a month or so later, after I had that overdose, I ended up, I drank a similar amount of caffeine without even realizing it, but the problem is I had no reaction. No racing heart rate or, shallow breathing, nothing. There was no reaction. It was almost like the stuff didn't even hit my system. And the same thing happened with chlorine gas, oddly enough, because my previous occupation, I was a pool lifeguard. And the county that I was in, we were the only ones that had to, do all the chemical maintenance and everything ourselves. Other places, wherever you went, they had people who added chemicals and vacuumed the pool and cleaned it up for you. You would just show up and, lifeguard. But not us. We were required to do everything as per the county that I worked at. So, unfortunately for us, for me, it's like... Anyway, sorry, I had to redact where I was working for privacy reasons. But anyway, the pool that I worked at, its pump room is very, very stuffy. Like, there's really poor circulation. So whenever I was adding chlorine tabs to the chlorinator, I just held my breath. The problem is I went down there. They do provide us PPE. They're the full face mask and everything. But I just held my breath. But the thing is, I opened the bucket of chlorine tabs one day, and it was just a yellow cloud of gas that hit me right in the face, and I didn't realize what it was. It was just an instant open, and I mean, technically it is my fault, because I was supposed to be wearing that mask and I didn't, because it was just sweltering in there. But yeah, so that happened, and within I knew what happened. I had to get out of there, and within, I think maybe 30 seconds, I went into a coughing fit. Like, I could not stop coughing for 10 minutes. Like, my sides are hurting, tears are streaming down my face, everything, the whole 9 yards. And it took me about, even after the major coughing fit subsided, I was still coughing periodically for the next hour or so. But the thing is, once again, later on, maybe like a month or two later, I had another whiff of the chlorine gas stuff, and once again, no reaction. So I don't understand it. I don't know why my system is like this. It just is. And I've even joked that maybe I'm a mutant. But how else would you explain this near freakish ability to do this stuff? It's ridiculous. So, but yeah, that's the anecdote about my resistance to things. I mean, don't try this at home. I would not attempt doing this, nor do I endorse doing this, because it is, what I did is dangerous. It can kill you. I mean, chlorine in its natural state is a gas anyway. But that stuff was also, I believe if I remember correctly, it was also used to pump out soldiers in the Fox trenches during one of the world wars. It's in its natural state, it is indeed a poison. So you don't want to breathe that stuff in. It can end very, very badly. So yeah. It's definitely not something that you should be aspiring to do. Me, I can be a bit reckless. Now, the thing is that I knew what I was doing, and I just chose not to do it, which is why, in the event that, collection item. In the event that, people might say, it's like, if you get lung damage, why don't you sue him? Because I wouldn't have a leg to stand on, because I knew what I was doing, and I chose to do it anyway. There's the difference. Now, my previous supervisor, this person ended up getting lung damage and tried to, or at least was considering pinning it on the county. I don't know if this person is still doing it or what, but honestly, this person doesn't have a leg to stand on either, because this person also knew what they were doing and chose to ignore it. So, actions have consequences. That's the bottom line. I mean, I don't know why that's so hard for people to understand these days. I really don't. But anyway, rant over. This has turned into more of a talk discussion about my life and stuff, because I really don't remember what I was discussing originally in the game. Normally I'd keep things a bit lighthearted and whatnot and, just focus on the content at hand, but I gotta find some way to pass time, I guess. But yeah, Kingdom Valley Act 1 was fun. And Act 2 I actually did quite well in as well. So, surprisingly, I tend to do better in the Act 2s than the Act 1s. But, or at least, actually, probably not. It's more of an even split between the two. Sometimes I do better with the Act 2s, sometimes I do better with the Act 1s. It's really dependable, or it depends on, what it is and how the level is designed. But that being said, don't really remember if there's any surprises there, although that bit reminded me a bit of Dragon Road from Sonic Unleashed. Uh-oh, there we go. Fumbled that one. Chaos Blast, not Chaos Blast, but Doom Blast. I can sometimes have a bit of trouble getting the hang of, you know, reacting to the prompts. So, yeah. I think that was also the first one where I realized that I could aim the thing up and down, even though it had said so before, or the previous episode. So, yeah. Getting the hang of Shadow's new abilities was definitely a bit tricky for me, but I managed to pull it off. The one that I absolutely do not like the most is the Doom Morph. That one is, ugh. The controls are terrible. But, I mean, I get it. You know, you have to make it challenging in some way, but me personally, I don't like sloppy controls or inputs. That's just a pet peeve of mine when it comes to games. I mean, I like a healthy amount of challenge, but challenge that's caused by faulty mechanics is not fun for me at all, and I would much rather not deal with that. So, that's just me, though. I mean, I've said this before in multiple reviews that I have done in the past, so, and I'm going to be writing a review on this game once the final boss is complete. So, yeah. I'm going to be doing a review on both Sonic and Shadow Generations, at least Sonic Generations Remastered. And when I do the remastered one, it's going to be, I'm going to be talking about direct comparisons between the original and the remaster, along with all the changes that were made, etc. You don't get me wrong, I like the Chow, and that's an extra collectible item to look for, and I like the sheer amount of content that Sonic Generations has, but as far as the challenge acts are concerned, those are the things I really don't care for, because if I wanted the game to be longer and have a lot of stuff to do, I just add more regular stages. I mean, that's what most people buy the game for. They don't want to do all these challenge acts that can be sometimes impossible to pull off without doing some ridiculous stunt. And that's one thing that I do definitely appreciate about Shadow Generations, is that they reduce the strict number of challenge act stages to a minimum. Like, you are required to do both challenge acts to unlock the key, unlike Sonic Generations where you only had to do one, but you don't have to do quite as many of them, which is much appreciated. I mean, big time. So, that being said, I mean, like I said, there's good and bad to both Sonic and Shadow Generations, but overall, I don't have many complaints. It's genuinely a very good game. I mean, they are short, don't get me wrong. I genuinely wish they were longer, kind of like how Sonic Unleashed was, but it's still fun, and that's the end goal at the end of the day. Alright. Yeah, that one was the one I got an S rank in. I only got one collectible, but, you know, it is what it is. Still got a good time. Kingdom Valley has been restored. Oh yeah, I forgot that Big appears in this episode. And I find that odd, because I don't think Shadow's ever really interacted with Big outside of Sonic Heroes, but yeah.
Hello. Your name's Shadow, isn't it? Have you seen my good buddy, Froggy? Hey there.
Oh, hello. Your name's Shadow, isn't it? Have you seen my good buddy, Froggy? No? That's too bad. He ran off again, so I went looking for him. Somehow, I wound up here. I'll keep looking. If I see anything interesting, I'll let you know. What am I doing? Sure is peaceful here. No wind blowing, no birds chirping, no bugs buzzing. Hey, I like the wind. You don't think it's cozy? I might take a nap.
Do you like to fish?
Do you like to fish? You never tried? That's too bad. Would you like to learn how? What, you're not interested? That's too bad. Typical Shadow.
Hey there.
And the dialogue's repeating itself again. Yeah, honestly. And the boss room is already unlocked because I have enough keys already. Now, one thing that I noticed right off the bat is after doing the challenge acts, and I mean doing all of them. Oh, actually, wait, no, never mind. You have to go to the boss room in order to get the boss gates to appear. That's right. And you're gonna see me here spending you got Ark Route 44, check it out in the collection room. I think it's at this point where I spend a decent chunk of time trying to figure out how the hell to get inside this building, because I had to do a decent amount of platforming in order to pull that off. Because it's not immediately obvious right off the bat. It can be a bit confusing, or at least for, some people. It's not terribly confusing, but it's definitely enough to make you scratch your head. So, yeah. That way was obviously a bus, so I'm gonna go and look for another angle, I suppose. You got a collection item. You got Sonic the Hedgehog Part 2. Alright. So this is the point in the video where I finally looked over there and saw the drawbridge going down, so I went, oh, duh. It's right there.
Out of my way.
Yep, there we go.
Out of my way.
Yes, I knew there was a fifth one. Now, that's basically forcing you to climb. It's not going to be that easy. Yeah, there it is. Collection item. The Doom. Okay. Gear piece, or machine part rather. Just gathering as many rings as possible. And another collection item. Central City. I still have a sneaking suspicion to this day that Central City, they stole that straight from The Flash, honestly. They had to have. I mean, there's no way that's coincidence. Because let's be real here, Central City and The Flash have been around way longer than both Sonic and Shadow combined. So, yeah. Anyway. Oh yeah, and speaking of which, I don't know if anybody saw those collaborations that DC did with Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic was obviously the Flash, Shadow was Batman, Knuckles was Superman, etc. So it was actually a really interesting bit of artwork, but it kind of fit, surprisingly. But Knuckles being Superman, I have a hard time picturing. I mean, to be fair, they also really didn't have any other candidates for it, but at the same time, that was a bit weird. Alright. Challenge Gates Act appeared. Complete challenge gates to get boss gate keys. Or complete challenge acts to get boss gate keys. But yeah, so that about wraps it up for this episode. So it's here that I'm going to put a stop to it. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Ventus out.